fix you with my love. I'll fix you with my love. If I can't find the cure, I'll fix you with my love. No matter what you know, I'll fix you with my love. And if you say you're okay, I'm gonna heal you anyway. Promise I'll always be there. Promise I'll be the cure. Promise I'll be the cure. I'll fix you with my love. I've been searching, running, riding all night long. I've been thinking about the places I belong. I'm going tonight. Never gonna think twice. Never gonna think twice. I'm a queen and a soldier, got something to fight for. I'm losing my mind, my mind. I'm a queen and a soldier, relentless and chosen. I'm fighting a war tonight, 'cause I'm the queen right here. I've been plucking out these strings for 7 days, questioning like bullets in a gun. Am I really this way? Is it more than a phase? My mind's got me wondering. I'm a queen and a soldier, got something to fight for. I'm losing my mind, my mind, my mind. I'm a queen and a soldier, relentless and chosen. I'm fighting a war tonight, 'cause I'm here. I'm the queen right here. 'Cause I'm the queen right here. I'm the queen right here. You couldn't last a day in my crown. You couldn't last a day. You couldn't last a day. You couldn't last a day in my crown. You couldn't last a day. You couldn't last a day in my crown. Couldn't last a day. You couldn't last a day. I'm a queen and a soldier, something to fight for. I'm losing my mind, my mind, my mind. I'm a queen and a soldier, relentless and chosen.
although my heart is falling too. I'm in love with your body. And last night you were in my room, and now my bedsheets smell like you. Every day discovering something brand new. I'm in love with your body. 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 Every day discovering something brand new. I'm in love with the shape of you. One weekend we let the story begin. We're going out on our first date. You and me, we're thrifty, so go all you can eat. Fill up your bag and I'll fill up a plate. We talk for hours and hours about the sweet and the sour and how your family is doing okay. Leaving, getting a taxi, the kiss in the backseat, tell the driver make the radio play. And I'm singing like, girl, you know I want your love. Your love was handmade for somebody like me. Come on now, follow my lead. I may be crazy, don't mind me. Say, boy, let's not talk too much. Grab on my waist and put that body on me. Come on now, follow my lead. Come on now, follow my lead. I'm in love with the shape of you. We push and pull like a magnet do. Although my heart is falling too. I'm in love with your body. And last night you were in my room, and now my bedsheets smell like you. Every day discovering something brand new. I'm in love with the shape of you. I'm in love with your body. I'm in love with your body. I'm in love with your body. Every day discovering something brand new. I'm in love with the shape of you. Come on, be my baby. 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 Come on. Come on, be my baby. Come on. Come on, be my baby. I'm in love with the shape of you. We push and pull like a magnet do. Although my heart is falling too. I'm in love with your body. Last night you were in my room, and now my bedsheets smell like you. Every day discovering something brand new. I'm in love with your body. I'm in love with your body. I'm in love with your body. You can never take our hearts away. You can never silence what we say. You can't hold us down another day. The revolution is getting closer. Stand up, take a side. Now you know the truth can't be denied. I promise you we won't give up the fight. We're rising up until it's over.
Today's matchup: Flash, Youngho, Terran. Last, Kim Sung-hyun, Terran. StarCraft League Brood War ASL Season 3, Round 8.
It's time for the final day in the round of 8. This is Flash versus Last, casted by Tasis and Artosis. And I got to say, I do not know who advances. I know a lot of people are going to say that Flash should come out of here easily. I don't think so. I think Last is easily one of the most worthy opponents, if not the most worthy opponent, for somebody like Flash to go up against.
He is the next thing to Flash.
Yeah.
You know, if you need a Flash substitute, it is Last. So, I mean, this is definitely a very tough match. Last has the requisite skills to take out Flash, but will he be able to do it?
That's the big question. We're starting out with the map Camelot, and then map 2 is Outsider, and I would pay money to have these guys play on Outsider 5 times, Artosis.
You want to see that many raids?
I want to see that many raids, but I'm very curious to see how game number 2 is going to go. I think we're going to see who has better overall Terran versus Terran instinct, but I think the rest of the maps are going to come down a lot more to overall preparation.
You know, that is quite interesting, because definitely Outsider does make it kind of a different type of game. Like, do you get to that critical mass of wraiths where turrets don't work anymore?
Or can you abuse drops too early?
Yeah. But Camelot being the first and last map tonight is really kind of cool and interesting, because let's not forget there's no ramp here, and the choke is a little bit wide. So it just kind of makes this interesting scenario where you can have very Vulture-heavy play early on.
That's true. Anytime where you have a big opening to your natural or no ramp, like you were saying, Vultures become so strong because it can just get to a snowballing point. And that's a lot of fun to cast, and sometimes that game can be played on a knife's edge, almost like a ZVZ, where you get a little bit of a lead, and all of a sudden you can't be stopped.
Yeah, if you get like a Vulture or 2 up and there's nothing else in there, you just are going to win the game.
Yeah.
So anyways, kind of jumping ahead of ourselves here, this is really important stuff. Whoever wins, of course, gets a seed for next season and goes up against Soulkey in the next round. And these two, of course, by far the best TVZ players in the world.
And after today, we will have that final slot filled, and we'll be going right into the round of 4. I'm looking forward to it. The other 3 players who have managed to survive this far is Bisu, who will be playing against Shine, the GSL and ASL Observer, who has surprisingly managed to place himself in the top 4 current StarCraft Brood War players in the world. And on the other side, of course, the winner of Last versus Flash will face off against Soulkey. And by the way, Soulkey's been really kicking ass. He's been taking out a lot of players where I think most of our viewers and most of the StarCraft 1 experts would say Soulkey was maybe not the favorite, but managed to pull through anyways. Beating Best 3-2. All the games that Soulkey won were timing-based attacks, very aggressive styles of play. He did not let Best get to the phase of a PvZ that he wanted to be in.
And you know what? ZVT is quite strong, so whoever comes up definitely is not going to be able to just rest on their laurels, still cruise into the finals. But right now, looking at this, we have some ridiculously awesome-looking possible finals coming up.
Very true. As we said before, we're going to be starting off on Camelot. If we do go to a Game 5, Camelot will be played again. And here is Flash, looking fierce as ever. He's holding his wrist. It's making me think about how my wrist is not recovered, and I can't play any games yet, Artosis.
He actually had a terrible injury in his arm. Has a giant scar where they
up on his
fixed
behind his shoulder,
and stuff.
or behind his elbow, excuse me, on the back of his, a little bit below his tricep.
That's right. But yeah, he's been through even more than you, Tasis, so far.
So far.
But we don't know. We haven't seen what is going to happen.
We're going to find out that casting is actually very bad for your wrist.
Yeah. Well, in that case, we're going to have to amputate your whole arm, Tasis.
Okay, we're going to go to the interview now with our players, see what their thoughts are before this match starts.
이 D조 경기를 준비 중인 이영호, 김성현 선수와
Stargirl says
이야기
this is the last night for the round of 8.
안녕하세요.
Let's do our interview with our two players. Hello. Hellos are passed around.
이영호 선수는 지금 8강 진출이
So, Flash.
벌써 세 번째예요. 3연속으로 지금
You made it to the round of 8.
이
It's the
8강
third season in a row you've done
무대가
this.
어떻게 좀 늘 새로우신가요? 아니면은 내 집 같이 좀 편안한가요?
Does it feel different every single time, or are you feeling mostly the same as before?
꾸준하게 열심히
It's pretty new and
잘해서
fresh every single
꾸준한
time.
선수가 되는 게 예전부터 목표라고 얘기했는데 그걸 잘 이루고 있는 것 같아서 뿌듯하기도 하고
I always said my goal
8강에서 만족해서는 안 될 것
is to be one of these players who consistently produces great results in Modern Brood War.
시즌 2에
I prepared really well for tonight, by the way, so I'm ready to make it to the semis.
만족해서는 안 되죠.
And of course, you're the champion of season 2.
저번 시즌 우승은 이미 잊었고요. 또 이번 시즌의 우승에 또 배가 고프기 때문에 이번 시즌
Yep, that's right.
우승을 향해서 갈 수 있도록 하겠습니다.
But I'm already forgetting about the last season championship. I'm only focused on the here, the now.
오랜만이에요.
네, 저번 시즌에 좀 허무하게 떨어졌는데 이제 힘들게 또 8강을 올랐네. 더 힘든
But you were
상대를
knocked down in the round of 8 last season, or
만났거든요.
in a
그래도
previous
이제
season.
시즌 1에서 한번 이겨봤던 상대이기 때문에
I'm glad to be back here now.
정말 자신감 넘치는 김성현 선수의 모습인데 이영호
But my opponent
선수는
might be too strong.
김성현
Anyways, though, I'm very
선수와
confident.
때도 같은 팀이었고 그렇잖아요. 그리고 온라인상에서도 경기를 굉장히 많이 해보셨을 텐데.
So last is one of your teammates in the team battle.
점수로 평가하자면 10점 만점에
And you guys have played against each other online a lot.
글쎄요.
Are you inadvertently giving him some practice for himself?
생각을 가지고 있는데.
Or do you give him any pointers ahead of time?
1점은
He said, look, right now I'd rate him as a 9 out of 10.
예, 그또 기계잖아요.
She says, where's that 1 point then?
기계는 무조건 오류가 난다.
It's just because his nickname's in AlphaGo. He's still too robotic. Machines can still always make mistakes.
상당히 센스 있는 이영호 선수의 대답이었고.
He said even machines can make errors.
이영호
Excuse me.
선수가 챔피언이에요 지금 전 시즌.
네.
하지만 김성현 선수의 생각은 조금
Machines may make errors, but humans are error machines.
Well said.
저번에도 이제 점수를
So obviously your opponent's a last season champion.
10점이라고 매기고
What are your thoughts on Flash now?
꺾고 올라갔으면 좋겠네요.
네, 상당히 서로를 높이 평가하고 있는.
I think last season I gave him a 10 out of 10.
이영호 선수는
I guess I'll just give him a 10 out of 10 this time around as well.
8강전에서 바로
Regardless of that, he says I still can make it to the semifinals.
Well, if he's a 9, Flash is a 10. I mean, sometimes 7 beats 9. But
1시간 만에 집에 갔던 기억이 있는데 근데 그렇게 생각해요. 진짜 그때 저하고 지금의 저하고 또 완전
Yeah, I
다른
remember
느낌이라고
that hour-long
생각하고,
match in
물론
the
성현이가
round of
갈수
8
있는 것도
in
당연하다고
TVT.
생각하는데
And then I had been
제가 할수
eliminated.
있는 거는
This was in a previous
경기로
ASL, by the way, guys.
보여드리는 거밖에 없는 것 같습니다. 오늘 경기로
I think all I can do
보여드리도록 할게요.
is just show
김성현 선수에게
through my
여쭤볼게요.
preparations
김성현
how well I'm going to play.
선수는 ASL 내에서 태태전 승률이 80% 이상의 굉장히 엄청난
So
모습을
last, you've
뽐내고
been
있어요.
showing
알고 계셨나요?
amazing Terran versus Terran. Your win rate's 80%. Were you aware of that?
기록을 봐가지고
Actually, I was not aware of
왜
that.
그런지 모르겠는데 대회
That's
때
pretty
뭔가
cool.
태태전이 다른 종족전보다 잘 되긴 하는 것 같아요.
I don't know why I have
네,
such
오늘은
success at
하지만
TVT.
정말 강한
but I think
선수거든요.
somehow-
이영호 선수거든요. 오늘 태태전도 지킬 자신 있으신가요?
I think I just had a lot of success in offline tournaments in
이제 제일
TVT.
힘든 상대라서 뭐 이긴다고 장담은 못 드리는데 좋은 경기 보여드리겠습니다.
So Stargirl says, do you think against the god of Terran Flash you could still win?
우리 이영호 선수에게
He says, yeah, well, since I'm
해볼까요?
confident in TVT, I think I could still do that. Sure.
시즌 1의 기억 네, 다시 기억나게 해줄게.
네,
Any words to Flash?
정말 악몽을
I think I need to
안겨주겠다는
remind you about what happened in Season 1 ASL Flash. And what
강력한
about you, Flash? Do you have any
발언이었는데요.
words
이영호
to say?
선수 화답해 주시죠.
예. 그 유명한 알파고도 5점이 있다는 걸 오늘 보여줄게.
와, 정말 강력한 멘트를 한 양 선수입니다.
All I'm saying is
네,
that
두
even a
선수
supercomputer
오늘도
like Last,
최선을
aka
다해
AlphaGo,
명경기
can still have
만들어주시길
errors.
바라겠습니다.
And today I'm going to prove it.
그럼
It's man versus
최고의
machine,
테란을
Artie.
가리는 이영호,
Is it now?
김성현,
Is it
김성현,
now?
이영호 선수의 8강전 지금부터 시작하겠습니다.
And Stargirl says, tonight we find out who is truly the best Terran. Let's start these games.
Well,
All right, that does it for the interview.
even if Flash wins, Flash is still the best Terran. But thank you, Stargirl. So,
I can't wait for this, man. This is a big rivalry. These are the two best Terrans in the world, hands down.
Yeah.
And I got to say, I think Last has it can definitely beat Flash here. He's done it before. He could do it again.
There is that possibility, but Flash is in shape now.
Anyways, we're going to show you guys a short video and then start tonight's round of 8. I like that. God versus AlphaGo.
All right, well, God, I guess, can beat everything, can he?
Yes. Unless, I don't know, unless machines stop God.
Yeah. Well,
Maybe God made man just so that man would make machines.
and
We
machines
were the
become
gender
new
to
God.
plug into the machines, and ultimately the machines will overcome us.
There you go.
There
That's
you
well
go.
said.
So we'll have to see how this goes down. Game 1 is going to be on Camelot. Artos, you were talking about this a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
That mass vultures are super viable in a TVT. You have to respect the fact that with a large open berth near the front of your base,
Yeah.
you can stay on vultures for longer than you normally would.
Yeah, early game, tank vulture in general can be very, very strong, which actually like forces other rotations in, right? Like you get a raid, you force some Goliaths, you just kind of screw that up because you gain map control very quickly, very easily if you open with vultures. And, you know, tanks just don't make as quickly or anything. Oh, look at that. He's even got his ruler out, Tasteless.
So he's pretty well known for this. He actually has a ruler he brings to every tournament to measure out the distance between, I believe, the chair and the desk, as well as the mouse and the keyboard.
The monitor, the keyboard and mouse.
He plays it with everything at the exact same distance.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
Well, he's taken it to another level beyond other
What
players.
does this shirt say? Keep trying no matter how hard it seems. I like that.
Wow.
A fitting shirt to wear in here today.
Yes, well, he's definitely doing that, Tasteless. He's come back in a strong way. When he first started playing StarCraft 1 again, he did lose in the round of 8 to Last. But we can't use that as an example for what's going to happen here tonight because Flash then, after he had a reasonable amount of time to practice StarCraft 1 again, straight up won last season.
That's right.
And last season was unreal stacked, right? It had the 4 best players of all time in the top 8. Like, that's just madness, and he won that. And now here he is. It's the next season, and is Last going to be able to stand up against him? Yes, his actual base skill, you just look at his games and his practice games and stuff, it's similar to where Flash is at as far as mechanics and intelligence go, but he's on stage playing against the Terran. Every Terran wishes that they were.
Another thing to keep in mind is that there's a big age difference here. I mean, Flash is essentially the old school here, who has managed to keep his crown, where Last is much younger, and Last is kind of this new generation of Brood War players. And I think this is something important to note is that although I think players like Flash or Jaedong or Bisu are going to be dominant probably pretty consistently throughout Brood War, that doesn't mean that new people can't come up here and rise up. And this is somebody who is definitely in that position and may end up becoming the old school usurper.
Yes, it definitely could be the case. So
Committing regicide.
yes.
But I am still Emperor. Okay. We are moments away from starting this. We have Flash. Actually, excuse me, both players are in the game. Last has not moved to the player slot yet, so he may be trying to still get prepped at whatever else he needs to do at his computer. This is a best of 5, and we will be done with a round of 8 after this.
That's right. The winner here goes up against Sulky for a chance at the ASL finals. And the winner here, I do have to say, is favored to win the entire tournament. So this is almost like a mini finals that we're going to see right now. Guys, tell your friends, get them in here, because this is going to be a sickly epic TVT.
Yeah, this is going to be one of the best RTS matches of the year, I think. I can't imagine this goes 3-0 either way. I believe we will go to game number 5. I think this should be one of our longer ASL nights, so you guys are in for quite a show here tonight.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you.
That being said, I don't necessarily think every game has to be long. I think some of these games could end up being shockingly short. I think these guys are players that know if they get a lead, how to maintain it, how to keep it.
There's some cool aggressive builds that you can do in TVT. And in fact, Camelot is definitely something you can end with a mid-game little attack. You know, you make some dropships and stuff like we saw last. Tried to do previously against Sock. And you can actually just kill somebody with that if they are out of position for a second.
Very true, very true. It looks like both players are confirming that they are ready. So there's no turning back now. All this prep. The two best TVT players of all time here, duking it out on Camelot. Flash versus Last in tonight's ASL. In the upper left, in the orange, Flash. And in the bottom right, in the white, his opponent, Last.
So, excited to see what these guys will be bringing out. Ooh, that's a good-looking Goliath right there.
He's got his Ninja Turtle feet on.
Yeah.
Goliaths and Thors, man.
He was using his ground attack there, though.
That's true.
So
did not fare well. Let's hope he was firing down spider mines.
Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah. He's versus tanks, or he's going to have a bad time.
Of course, the stat you see there is from a couple seasons ago when Flash had just barely made his return. Of course, he'd been playing for a bit, and, you know, that's definitely a lot of skill that Last showed in that series.
So one thing I want to point out real quick here, so because I know we have a lot of people that are not familiar with all, there's, you know, StarCraft's a game that the more you play, the more you start figuring out these little secrets and techniques to make things operate faster. So see the placement of the depots here for both players? That depot for Last makes the SCV pop out on the bottom right instead of the bottom left of the command center, so we can actually grab the SCV and get it over to the minerals a little bit quicker. Whereas the depot for Flash, hopefully we'll get a shot of his main in a second here so you can see it. The depot, I think we're going to see it. I don't know. I think we're going to follow this SCV. The depot that Flash placed actually allows the SCVs at the bottom patch to mine up in a straight line a little bit quicker.
Yeah. A lot of times there's weird pathing around the mineral patches going back to the command center or nexus or hatchery. So sometimes you can throw down a building that kind of corrects that pathing a little. Notice how that SCV is going directly north rather than at some sort of weird angle. So that's very good depots by both players here.
By the way, Flash did check in the top to see if there was anything hidden up there. In this case, there's not. So everything looks pretty standard. Something that you said to me a long time ago. This is a long time ago, Artosis, but I really liked how you explained it.
I love you, Tasteless?
It was, yes, that was the first time you were drunk, but yes. One thing that you said about TVT that I really liked, because, you know, I used to cast. I wasn't always casting with you. We really teamed up more.
Yeah, you were a traitor.
That's right. I was a lone wolf. But you said, you know, in TVT, it's all the builds can kind of counter each other at times. It's not a matchup where you necessarily say, oh, this guy's doing this and this other guy's not doing, you know, the same build.
Yeah.
And therefore, it's going to be an auto loss. It is a matchup where you really, if you can control well and think on your feet, there's a lot of cool tricks you can pull off.
Yeah, the matchup just has so many different build orders and strategies. You can do anything from 2-port Wraith on one base to a command center first, right? Like,
right.
And everything in between. You can go 1-fac, 2-fac, you can go vultures, you can open with a tank, you can go 1 starport plus tanks, right? That's like cloaked Wraith plus a siege tank push. There's so much variety in this matchup, which really makes it very, very fun, because not only does it have like more opening valid strategies probably than really any other matchup, but also it's extremely strategic and positional. It's kind of like a chess game a lot of the times where, you know, if his units move over here, then suddenly he has strength in this area, so you have to move in this direction. And, yeah, it's just it's a beautiful, beautiful matchup as far as mirrors go. And for certain, I don't care what race you play or what you like or what your opinions are, this is the best mirror in StarCraft 1.
You know, it reminds me a lot of the mirror matchups, or mirror matchup in StarCraft 2, like PvP.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, there's so many different builds you can do here. Like we can see games where they're opening up with different stuff each time. So we have the command centers coming down here. Now these are pretty modest builds, both of them basically designed to stop anything crazy coming from the other side while they get their command centers up.
Flashes is a bit more economic, getting that right away. Oh, wow, a Terran Academy right off the bat.
That's interesting.
Well, this build, you are going to get minerals a little bit more quickly, right, because you're getting your command center super fast. Obviously, your gas is going to be lagging behind just slightly because of that, but grabbing that Academy so he can get his scans ASAP. And, of course, when you go for something like this, you need to get siege tanks with siege mode reasonably quickly. Because if you have siege tanks with siege mode plus some wraiths, then basically you can hold on against absolutely anything your opponent can throw at you.
And I think Flash is definitely a player who wants to get further along in the games because that's where he really is able to kick into high gear and have a much bigger advantage here. Oh,
also, just to mention, because Flash did open up with a slightly later factory, that's why his buildings look like they do right now. At the front, right, he has a bunker, he has a depot or an academy, and his barracks. So that makes it so vultures can't really do anything. While you could have opened vultures as last, Flash could stall it out for a really long time.
Now, conversely, Last is actually scouting with his barracks. We see this a lot in TVT. And in case you're wondering why would they do that, they can't make their Marines out of there. You don't really want to get any Marines in here after the first few minutes. You get just enough Marines to kind of kill SCVs that are scouting you, maybe help hold off anything. But then you can use the barracks to scout. So this is a great play here by Last, and it's also very common in the TVT meta, even since the early days of StarCraft Brood War, to use the barracks to scout. And it's a beefy structure, so you're usually able to get out without it burning down or anything like that.
Yeah. There's a whole little mini game in early game TVT, depending on the builds, of how and when you kill the barracks, because it is just such a powerful scouting tool. It's kind of ridiculous in that regard. And notice how Flash is just immediately attacking with his Wraith. He could fly that across the map and try to do some harassment damage, but he's pretty much assuming that his opponent isn't really going to take that much, and killing the barracks is so important. If Last gets up here with siege tanks and starts attacking him and has this barracks to spot, he can get massive damage done.
By the way, guys, in case you're wondering why he landed that in the main, the Wraith doesn't do anywhere near as much damage to the ground, so he's hoping that he'll draw some more ground units over here while he can then blindside these two tanks over here. And this actually, well, hold on, is the Marine going to see this? Hold on, the Marines.
Oh, this is such a good Marine scout. This is so important that he sees this coming from that side, because if you come in from the side like this, the siege tanks won't fire at the same time. Okay, here he goes. He's trying to get in there. This SCV is being pulled, trying to help him stay alive. Targets down the Goliath. Perfect targeting by Flash, allowing his Wraith to get in here and force the retreat.
Yeah, killing that one Goliath completely shuts down the rush until another Goliath can get over here. So even though the angle of attack was very good by Last, the targeting there by Flash was brilliant.
Yeah, and it's funny because, like, if he didn't see that coming, right, the SCVs don't get down there as quickly, and he doesn't target fire as quickly. And if the Goliath actually lives and doesn't get targeted down and he picks off a tank or two, suddenly Last is in a good advantage. But right now, you have to look at Flash's position and say, okay, this is looking fine.
Yeah, and even the fact that we saw that one tank get shot down by the Wraith, that's a pretty big victory. Now, Flash is pumping out more tanks at this point in time. We do need to wait and see when the third base is going to be taken. Occasionally in TVT, you can have both players end up powering up like crazy, because sometimes the guy that expands first just doesn't quite have the defenses to the guy that added more factories.
Okay, some mines being laid all around the place right now by Last. You know, he's just gaining a little bit of map control with this. The Wraith coming through for a scout. You can try to harass a little bit with it, but Goliath's just wreck Wraiths so hard that this is mostly just like free scans for him.
Yeah, you have to have a ridiculous number of Wraiths to ever think about fighting a Goliath head-on. It's just usually you don't do it. Now, we see a siege tank line get set up here. Last is the one who's taking more of the initiative. And notice that he's trying to set this up in a location where it's going to be a little bit trickier to expand to the center left.
Yeah.
Although I think it's much more likely that we'd be seeing Flash expand to the top center. And that's why we see him checking up here now. Also, Flash seems to want to do a drop play since he sees mines being laid on the map. He wants to load up and possibly drop into the main. We'll see exactly where he wants to go. But getting into the main would actually be very handy, because this army for Last is out in the middle of the map. map and therefore can't get back in time to help these factories that need to be defended.
This type of move is so strong. Like, that one siege tank won't do quite enough against us. He has a Goliath out there as well, but he's going to have to pull SCVs. There's vultures in here to semi-counter that as well. Oh my god, getting right on top of the siege tank. Great move right now by Flash, and he is going to lose a lot here.
Yeah, that's right. He's got these vultures up here. Now, more of Last units are coming forward here. He needs to target down some of these tanks. If he can get the tanks, then the rest of these units are going to be picked off with ease. And actually, I have to say, Last held that a lot better than I expected.
Yeah, like all
that was pretty surprising.
Well, he lost a decent amount of SCVs there, which is really kind of what you're going for. Flash didn't think he was going to be able to kill Last because SCVs actually counter mech a little bit. They have enough health, they kind of get on top of everything, and it's a bit hard, but I still kind of like this move from Flash overall. He is controlling the map, he's forcing Last to stay back, and here comes another dropship.
Yeah, Flash doubling down with these drops over here and hitting these workers. Now, keep in mind, Last expanded just slightly quicker than Flash did. They're both taking those bases over there in the the place adjacent to their naturals.
Their third base locations.
Third base locations, thank you. Now, he's also been using these drop ships over here to try to keep a lot of these units pinned in the base. There's still a tank inside one of those drop ships that's floating over Last's main, but the fact that Last had to go back and defend means he doesn't have that much help here to buffer against a push here in the center of the map from Flash.
Yeah, clearing out those 3 siege tanks is super nice, and he continues to do a bit of drop harassment right here. He's just kind of dictating where all of Last's army is going, and that lets him gain a foothold in the center of the map where originally Last was.
More units are rallying out right now. Flash is beginning to get a better foothold on the map overall. Not many of those drop ships were picked off that had to retreat from the main of Last, so he still has the opportunity to try to drop in locations where Last isn't quite able to defend.
Loading up those drop ships once again, going towards his third base. There's like nothing up here to defend. Looks like he sent up a single siege tank, but whatever's in these drop ships can easily clear that. He actually flies away from it for a moment and drops off over on this side, and this is going to be really dirty, even with that turret in the way. Oh my god.
A nice attack, though, countering what Flash is doing. He comes up here, and it's going to have, I think that one command center is going to have to float away. And slowly but surely, I think Last can reclaim this location. He's going to plant some mines over here.
Oh,
good targeting there with the siege tanks.
Really sick plays going on by Flash, just keeping this area under his control. But of course, his base is in trouble. Oh my god, a little switch into Wraiths is going to help out immensely. Right now, Last trying to make as many siege tanks as he possibly can. So these Wraiths with Cloak flying in, he's going to be able to clear a lot of siege tanks.
Yeah, we'll see how fast Last can react, because he can try to repair that. And there's enough SCVs that he can basically, if he gets some good surround on it, he's not quite doing it though. Those SCVs are stuck. He could have gotten a full-on repair and save those. Meanwhile, another push coming down here from Flash, and he's getting some good mines placed right in front of these tanks.
Oh, looks like those mines were mostly diffused right there, but the Wraiths coming back over and doing a lot of work on these siege tanks. Some Goliaths coming over and trying to push them back though.
Yeah, the Goliaths do drive them back. 2 more tanks taken out there from Flash. Neither player able to secure a third base for the time being.
Yeah, this has really been tit for tat so far. A lot of damage on both sides, but looking at like what they both have, Last overall has tried to have a stronger arm in this game, while Flash has tried to have the initiative with his drops and of course he's Cloaked Wraiths. So when it gets low economy like this, sometimes that is what ends up helping out.
Yeah, and I think that was a really important thing that you pointed out is Flash is playing the tactical and positional game, where Last is playing the muscle game. He's basically going to have a stronger army, which is why he's constantly able to wipe out Flash at certain points in time. But Flash can get in there with surgical precision and do so much damage that if Flash doesn't clean up these attacks in time, it is going to be bad.
Look
here
at
we
this.
go.
With
Here we
these
go.
Wraiths, he's going to be able to force back every siege tank so easily. This is going to be a huge amount of damage. The Vulture's helping out, tanking damage and dealing to SCVs as well. And this is such a good move from Flash. It's amazing, Tazus. How do you break that?
Well, it's so smart because with the Wraiths over here gunning down these tanks, it makes it a lot harder for the tanks themselves to push on the tanks of Flash. He just has a really good position over here. It looks like Last has managed to reclaim that third base down there at the bottom center.
Yeah, but this drop in the main base is just doing ridiculous amounts of damage. He's killed so many SCVs and so many tanks and Goliaths coming in trying to clean this up. Unfortunately, it looks like he will fly over a bunch of Goliaths with his Medivacs. Looks like maybe he queued that up.
Oh my god, there's a lot of SCVs getting killed here if he targets us down properly. That is just so many workers that are going to be wiped out.
Just, this is sick damage right here. That was such a good drop. Unfortunately, most of his medevacs and drop ships are gone. But he's in good form. He's coming up here, sieging in a nice position. Is it too aggressive? It looks like he's just barely going to kill this all off. Oh, my God.
Oh, my God. That was premium damage.
Yeah.
Now, this base is, well, I mean, with a 7 HP tank, that's definitely something that's bustable. Flash is basically giving up the top center, is going to expand to this far left base, not far from his main, and continue to try to push down here and lock out the third base right now from Last.
This is what Last has that is keeping him in this game right now, that third base. Definitely a lot of minerals there to be mined, but Flash continues to push over, utilizing these vultures to try to lay some mines on top of these tanks and spot and tank for his tanks.
I think he might have just won the game.
Yeah.
I think this is actually the killing blow
That
here.
should be.
And keep in mind how many SCVs were killed off there for Last in that drop in the main. His worker count should be remarkably low. And there's really no way to get tanks up here because Flash already has tanks covering the low ground where the ramp is. In fact, even if the SCVs leave, they're probably going to get gunned down by the tanks. So I think we might see Last just run out of gas.
Yeah, literally and figuratively here if he doesn't get something done.
I didn't even catch myself on that. Yeah, literally and figuratively run out of gas. GG!
Wow, really well-played game coming out of Flash here, I have to say, Tasteless. The muscle version that Last did, it's a good way to play. It definitely is, and you're going to knock out a lot of these kind of fancy Terrans, but Flash just played that fancy style to perfection. The fact that he had those extra rates as well after the dropships, he just kept up that starport production, and oh man, did that pay off.
It was really insane to see how much of that game was a two-base brawl. Both their armors so strong, nobody able to really secure a third. Even Flash making his third as he wipes out the third of Last back there. So many SCVs picked off back there in the harass of Flash. Ultimately, it started to pile up, and there was no way to stop the pushes from Flash.
Look, I want to once again just kind of go over that. If at any point in that game, or almost any point in that game, we had just taken the armies and thrown them into each other, Last wins.
Right.
But Flash really outmaneuvered him here. He dictated where Last had to send units, where Last had to defend, and eventually Last couldn't keep up with him.
We are going to go to a short break. Right now, it's Flash with a 1-0 lead versus Last. After this short commercial, we will go to game number 2.
지금까지 방구하러 가서 나쁘다는 말 들어본 적 있어?
모두가 쉬쉬해온 방에 대한 나쁜 정보.
다방면으로 보자. 다방.
월드 오브 워시. 야, 쟤 잠수함이냐? 쾌적선. 커와이네. 이렇게 못 맞추네. 고티어 베타는 민폐입니다. 누구시죠? 저희 죄송한데 혹시 운영자님이십니까? 나의 꿈과 희망을 실어서 간다. 올해 김연봉. 호쳐 블라. 야, 뭐야, 블랙홀이야? 은신. 뭐야 이게? 설마 탄?
전국민 슈팅 그라운드 탄! 지금 사전 예약하세요.
빛의 힘을 보여드리죠.
반갑네.
얘들아, 힘을 빌려줘. 나를 막을 순 없어. 방해하겠다면 전부 부숴주지. 판타지 마스터즈 2.
냄새가 나. 어두운 곳에 숨은 냄새를 풍기는 바로 너!
바로 너!
원인은 쾌쾌한 에어컨 냄새. 신제품 페브리즈 차량용으로 상쾌하게. 차량용.
오버워치 아이돌 학교를 소개합니다.
사은서, 우리는 오버워치 아이돌 학교의 교육과정을 성실히 임하며
최고의 게임 아이돌로 성장할 것을 다짐합니다.
좋았어. 이제부턴 진지 모드.
신입생 입학 조건 단 하나. e스포츠와 오버워치를 사랑하고 PC방을 좋아하면 돼요.
뭘 넋을 놓고 보고 있나?
매주 목요일 저녁 10시에 방송됩니다. 오버워치 아이돌 학교.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the ASL. We just saw a great game one, a real brawl of a TBT where both of these guys could barely get a third base up. But now we're going to the map Outsider, and Outsider is totally different.
Yes.
One thing to note about this map is that getting several bases with gas is actually quite difficult.
Yeah, it's kind of funny, right? Because Wraiths can be very powerful here to try to control the air. Like, what are you going to do? You're going to be dropping, like, Goliaths and stuff into people's bases when they have a huge fleet of Wraiths? No, you're not. So Wraiths are going to be very powerful on the map overall, which makes Valkyries pretty powerful, right? And
That's
also
true.
makes just making bases pretty good as well, because if you have some missile turrets and stuff. Let's not forget command centers can fly, so you can just float them over to gases and stuff like that. So it definitely makes a very different looking TVT, and one of the maps where we can have a TVT that's an hour long.
It certainly could be. It's also important to note that because all the bases are harassable by air with dropships, that even if you get those gases up, you might end up losing them later on.
Yeah.
So they may end up having to rely a little bit more on the mineral-heavy stuff. I don't know what's going to happen on this map. This is a map that's a bit of an enigma to me in a Terran versus Terran. So let's see how this all unfolds. We see Flash meditating right now before going into game number 2. He's probably very confident after that win. Although I will say that game was actually, I think, closer than some people would realize back there.
Yeah. Like, if one more drop goes a little bit more poorly for Flash, Last might be able to end up winning that because he did have the stronger army. Again, like, if he wasn't dragged around the map over and over again by Flash via the threat of dying because of Flash's drops and harassment, then he could have gathered his units and just bulldozed through.
Sure.
But, you know, you can't really get dropped, start losing everything, and then just go try to kill your opponent. He's going to be able to hold it, and you're going to lose too much at home. So it was a really, really good game on game number 1 on Camelot.
Now, if Last loses this and Flash is up 2-0, I think it's going to be very, very hard to come back from that.
Oh, yeah.
I think just anybody who's going to beat Flash 3 times in a row, that is the tallest order in all of esports.
Yeah, it can't be done.
I'm not saying that Last really can't possibly do it, but I mean, honestly, I don't see Flash
doesn't get reverse swept.
Yeah, exactly. It's just that's too hard to imagine. So I think this map might be the most important one here for Last. Let's see how he does. All right, in the upper left, in the teal, winning game number 1, it's Flash. And in the bottom right, in the orange, last. So openers are going to be very important on this map. I'm very curious to see what they're going to elect to do here. This is a 3-player map. So some of this is going to depend on positioning. Three-player maps at TVT can be kind of weird in the positional game on like where you're
right
expanding at.
Yeah.
And it's you know, obviously three-player maps, can always be a little bit weird in each matchup, but I think at TVT it's uniquely weird.
Yes, and specifically because split map scenarios occur in TVT more often than in any other matchup because, I mean, once you get to a critical mass of siege tanks and enough anti-air, like, you can just be like, okay, I take all these bases. And this doesn't have a clear division line to split the map, right? Like, the easiest map to explain in regards to this would be Blue Storm. So if you're really wondering about what a map that's easy to split up looks like, look at Blue Storm, right? You put turrets in a few places and line your siege tanks on the high ground in the center, and the map becomes unbreakable.
Right.
And that's that. And it's just like, okay, well, it's cost inefficient basically to do anything here other than take my half of the map and you take your half. Whereas here with 3 bases, there isn't a half. You can't really cut that in half.
Exactly.
Someone will have the advantage, so you're going to see a bit more action because of that.
We see right off the bat both players going for the refineries here to start to tech up. I'm curious to see when the first command centers for each side are going to be made. You can go for one-base builds early on in TVT.
Yeah.
It's a little bit different from some of these other matchups where you're scrambling to get your expansion up. A one-base player, you got to respect that.
It's you can get quite a bit off of one base, really. And I would imagine it's going to probably just be both of them going up 2 Wraiths right away. That is kind of like the stronger thing that you can do. Like, you might look at this and say, well, I mean, what about making some Goliaths or something? Well, the thing is, look at how that they're walling in, right? With TVT, you don't like always wall because like range units will kill the wall, right? Like if I have a siege tank outside your wall and you have one behind your wall, my siege tank kills your wall because of the range. But in this type of situation, they aren't really afraid of things like a siege tank push per se, right? Because if you go up to Wraiths, the siege tank push isn't what's going to work. And if you try to do something like Goliaths and like walk up a ramp, that just slows you down long enough that they can hold you. So, again, really, I kind of just expect them both to probably go up to like Cloak Wraith at this point, but I guess we'll see, Tasteless.
Also, you got to keep in mind, if you're trying to push the bottom of the ramp here from that natural location, that's like really hard to get up. It's just a stuffy, congested area to move around on.
You don't want to try to go uphill against like a siege tank and a wall, man.
Yeah,
it's just like so cost
You're going to have a bad time. So it looks like we're going to have Flash try to glitch an SCV through here. So the way that this works is you would right-click. Or no, maybe he's not. Okay, no, he's just going to make the command center over there. I stand corrected. Now, that's funny that Marine just got up in there.
Yeah, that is cool. I actually really like that move. Okay, 1 starport.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's a starport. I thought for a second he was making a command center. So here's what he's going to do. You get them both to mine, then you take one of them and you right-click spam through the patch.
Yeah.
And he'll be making the CC over there.
Yeah.
So he is going to do it anyways. I shouldn't second-guess myself.
He's expanding to somewhere with a gas that can really only be attacked by air. So this is kind of what we were talking about before. Now notice the Academy coming up right away for Flash. Cloak is the scary thing. If you have the same amount of Wraiths, but one guy has Cloak, like, you have to pre-scan, because if they get the first volley, you lose.
Yeah, especially in a Wraith versus Wraith, if you get like 1 extra shot off before the fight begins, you're going to win that fight every single time.
And by the way, just real quick, you can moving shot with Wraiths.
That's right.
Just so everyone knows.
Just like Mutas.
If I catch your Wraiths, they're all dead. Yeah, every single one of them. Like, if you're at the very peak of my range, then maybe some of them will get away. But like, if you're anywhere near them, you can kill them the entire way down. But Flash has gone for 2 starport Wraith, and we're going to have just the 1 right now with Last, who's taking a faster expansion. So if he can hold on against this and not really take damage, of course that'll give him an advantage.
Now, there's a degree of predictability with what Last is doing, even though that expansion seems far out and remote. That's the farthest place to travel to in order to get Wraiths.
Yeah.
And it looks like he's going to try to glitch these through, or is he going to try to get a drop ship perhaps out of here first? I would assume he's going to get...
Yeah, that's interesting. I think you're right that he's just... Well, maybe he will just glitch them all.
Watch it. You can actually get a lot of them
You can get quite a few at once, you're right. Little SCV flower through.
That's so funny.
Yeah. This is funny because we didn't really have maps that had bases set up like this.
Yeah,
so
I'm not used to seeing this at all.
I'm not used to seeing that, but it is a doable thing. Although, also, by the way, where his starport is very strategic for last. If it was like just in his main base, you kill SCVs and kill Wraiths as they come out. It's far away from both command centers, so he can't babysit it to kill all the Wraiths. So strategically, like some good moves by last, but he is going to be outnumbered as far as the Wraith count goes.
Now keep in mind, the only thing that can counter the Wraiths at this point in time in the game is other Wraiths. And at this point, I do think Flash is actually, or rather Last is a little bit more okay taking damage here in his main versus that expansion that has the other gas, but he's still losing a lot of SCVs over here. This is going to become problematic.
Ooh,
oh, man.
Flash with that cloak and Last as well. So the turrets are being made by Last, and this is what makes sense. He has the quicker command. And just because all these SCVs are dying doesn't mean that, like, Flash has won this game. You can lose a certain amount of SCVs because you have this quicker expansion, which also has a second gas. So you're going to catch up on the Wraith count as well. He just needs to get these turrets up first.
Very nice targeting here. Now, Last has his base up, and as long as these turrets finish up, the Wraiths really just cannot contest a completed turret. Actually, he might be able to get up here in time, though. Oh, my God. He needs to get up to where that turret is.
You know, here is something I do want to say, though, Tastes. You're very right that he was happier to take that damage in his main base rather than that back natural, because even though he glitched a lot of SCVs over, that could have possibly snowballed that back natural, which also, like, he strategically took that far away from Flash's base. If Flash had been top right, he would have taken the top left base. So there's, like, a lot of strategy behind this right now from Last's point of view, whereas Flash is just trying to get damage done with this double port Wraith.
And we actually saw Last making 2 more starports down there in the bottom right corner of his main. So there's going to be a possible air advantage here. But with that being said, of course, he's also hitting right over here on the starport. There's not really anything that can get over here to heal. Look at that. He's trying to bait out a scan.
So funny. Like, the scan is as important as minerals and gas right now. When you're playing on, like, one scanner on your command center, if he can just bait one on one Wraith, then he might be able to fly in with the rest of his Wraiths and actually kill everything off.
Now, the switch to the dropship is actually really smart because this is happening before the other 2 starports are going to kick in. And I'm assuming this is full of vultures because that's what was made a lot of early on. And there's nothing here to really protect these units, or these SCVs down here.
Yeah. This is going to be actually really hard for him to deal with. I love that he has a tank and 2 vultures. Like, as long as he micros this pretty well, you can't really do much. Are you going to bring over your Wraiths? Flash has more Wraiths, so he can actually defend against that.
Watch, he's going to try to dive in here and just get a snipe off. And, oh my God!
Oh, clutch right there.
Split-second cloak here.
Oh, my God.
He may need to come in again.
And look at this, the Wraiths coming up and even babysitting the tank. Sure, the Wraiths have, well, one Vulture rather, has gone down here, but this is sick amounts of damage.
Now, as long as he controls the Vulture and tank right, the SCVs do not beat this.
Yeah.
Okay, but he has to control the Vulture and the tank right. Oh!
This is another one there, and here comes up the Wraiths that have Cloak right now for Last. So he's starting to gain some real value here. Don't forget, he has the double scan.
Yep, that's very true. He has a lot more moments to get some eyeballs on where those Wraiths are. Now, Flash has taken his second base. Now, even though this base was saved here for Last, he lost, like, I'd say about 80% of the SCVs that were over there. So that's a lot of workers that were taken out. Now, even though he lost a lot of workers, the additional starports for Last have now kicked in.
Yes.
He might have enough minerals to get those started. So this might not be as much of a hiccup. We'll have to see.
No, it's really a funny thing because he lost a lot of Wraiths, but now he has some very important things. He has 2 scanners. He has 2 gases. He has 2 turrets at each base. Right. And this makes it so that Flash's Wraiths are having a hard time, like a very hard time. And in fact, we see an Armory coming up. He's probably going to have to add in some Valkyries here, knowing that, without a doubt, Last should be able to get well ahead on Wraiths.
So one thing about the Wraith, for those of you guys who are not that familiar with this unit because you haven't played that much StarCraft 1 and you're here to learn, it dies very fast to basically anything that can hit it. That's why you need to have Cloak with it. Occasionally we see games where the Cloak's not being used, but that's more because they're trying to shoot down some tanks or get a spotter up over here. Now, the Valkyrie, which does a big area of effect damage, 1 or 2 Valkyries hitting Wraiths, it's actually comedy how fast everything dies.
Oh, yeah. A group of Valks, man, will just shred Wraiths into nothingness. If you can get up on the Valks before the scan comes, though, you can kill them pretty quickly. The anti-air of Wraiths is big. And look at this, diving on top of his opponent's Wraiths, a very strong move coming out of last. Oh, this was beautifully done by Flash. Let me explain this move we just saw. You saw how much he was wiggling his Wraiths around. He was trying to make it as hard as possible to click on this Wraith. You can't just like attack move. You need to click on the Wraith. Otherwise, some of your Wraiths are going to like attack the turret and stuff. You're not going to do anything. So that was really good micro from Flash and from last.
Now, it's important to note that you can control Wraiths kind of like mutas. Like you can do some crazy like plays where you're sniping stuff and then pulling back around. So the control here is key. The Wraiths, they have, I guess you could say, average range in the air. So if you can get them at the right angle and actually turn at certain points in time, you can actually cause some of their shots to not connect as easily. So for now, it seems like Flash has decided he's going to focus a little bit more on ground, whereas Last is really committed to mass air.
Yeah, and I generally prefer on a map like this the way that Last is approaching it, because you need far fewer siege tanks if they're placed defensively. You know, so that makes going mech pretty hard, especially with all these bases in the back. Like, Last can still get more bases, but with these Valkyries out, that can screw up everything. If you just get some very cost-efficient Valkyrie volleys, it's going to just erase all the value out of Last's army.
Yeah, the one thing about Last Army is even though there's a lot of tactical stuff you can do with it, that's pretty awesome, if you miss control or you get caught in a bad position, you lose all the Wraiths almost immediately. And that's something that has to be respected. And I almost feel like actually Last should not be out on the map right now with the muscle that Flash has here.
Well, I think he needs to try to pick something off or bait a scan or something like that. Okay, this is a good siege. He's going to be able to pick off some units before it starts. The split on the Wraiths here from Last is fantastic. He's targeting down these Valkyries as quickly as he can, but it looks like his entire air army will be taken out.
Yeah, very nicely done here by Flash, and I feel like even though that surround with the Wraiths so that the Valkyrie missiles weren't connecting as well, it didn't matter because those units supplemented with Goliaths on the low ground, it's just going to be too much. And now immediately Flash is shuttling this dropship over here. It looks like we have some Wraiths that might try to come in here and intercept, but this should have these tanks unload over here.
Yeah, maybe some Goliaths in here as well.
Goliaths instead. I thought it was two tanks.
Yeah, well, the Wraiths just can't deal with this at all.
That's it. GG. Flash has won game number 2.
That was really, really well done on both sides.
Yeah.
And the way that Flash ended up winning this one, yeah, he got all that early damage in, but the tech switch was really very important, and that's somewhere where I feel like there was a mistake made by Last. If you get a critical mass of Wraiths, then that's fantastic, right? The type of the amount of Wraiths where you just fly in and kill turrets and stuff. But we weren't there. There were enough trades of Wraith versus Wraith that suddenly the economy was big enough that Flash could just make like Valkyries plus mech and roll him over.
Let's also keep in mind that Flash took that upper left base with the gas basically uncontested. There was a period where Last had enough Wraiths who probably could have stopped that, but Flash pushed out. Also, Flash wasn't trying to take his natural. He was actually trying to pick a fight in the middle of the map, which I think was maybe unwise. I think if he had a more turtle position, it's a tough call. But
you might be right about that.
Again, I guess Flash could have always picked up with the dropship and dropped that other base as well.
There's definitely a lot of tough choices to be made there. I think he had to be active trying to reduce the army, but it did not work out for him.
We're going to a short break. When we come back, game number 3, Flash versus Last.
지금까지 방구하러 가서 나쁘다는 말 들어본 적 있어?
모두가 쉬쉬해온 방에 대한 나쁜 정보.
다방면으로 보자. 다방.
뭐야 이게? 설마 탄?
전국민 슈팅 그라운드 탄! 지금 사전 예약하세요.
빛의 힘을 보여드리죠.
반갑네.
얘들아, 힘을 빌려줘. 누구도 나를 막을 순 없어. 방해하겠다면 전부 부숴주르지. 판타지 마스터즈 2.
월드 오브 워십. 야, 쟤 잠수함이냐? 쾌속선. 거와이네. 불기 못 맞추네, 씨. 고티어 메탄을 민폐입니다. 누구시죠? 저 죄송한데 혹시 운영자님이십니까? 나의 꿈과 희망을 실어서 간다! 어뢰 김연보. 고쳐, 블라. 야, 뭐야, 블랙홀이야? 은신.
냄새가 나. 어두운 곳에 숨은 냄새를 풍기는 바로 너!
원인은 쾌쾌한 에어컨 냄새. 신제품 페브리즈 차량용으로 상쾌하게. 차량용.
오버워치 아이돌 학교를 소개합니다. 대한민국을 대표하는 최고의 게임 아이돌을 육성시키는 e스포츠 전문 학교.
산사. 우리는 오버워치 아이돌 학교의 교육과정을 성실히 임하며
최고의 게임 아이돌로 성장할 것을 다짐합니다.
좋았어. 이제부터는 진지 모드.
오버워치 아이돌 학교의 목표는 졸업과 동시에 즉시 천상계 입문.
제가 여러분을 돌보겠어요.
신입생 입학 조건 단 하나. 게임 실력 필요 없어요. e스포츠와 오버워치를 사랑하고 PC방을 좋아하면 돼요. 왜냐고요? 저희 오버워치 아이돌 학교에는 여러분의 실력 향상을 위한 1대1 맞춤형 수업이 준비되어 있거든요.
따라올 수 있겠어?
영웅의 이해, 전장의 이해, 오버워치 멘탈 관리야, 실전 훈련. 우리 팀 피해 상황이 심각할 때 훈련은 필수인데요.
마음을 비우고 눈앞의 임무에 집중하라.
실전 대처술 등 체계적인 교과 수업, 그리고 균형 잡힌 PC방 식단을 통해 게임 아이돌로 성장하게 됩니다. 대한민국을 넘어 전 세계를 입덕시킨 오버워치 아이돌 프로게이머로 탄생되는 거죠. 오버워치 아이돌 학교는 매주 목요일 저녁 10시에 방송됩니다.
뭘 넋을 놓고 보고 있나?
등교 시간 확인하여 지각하지 마세요. 오버워치 아이돌 학교.
All right, we're back at the ASL right now. There is a 2-0 lead here for Flash.
Yes.
Flash is actually having a pretty commanding Terran versus Terran, but not really getting the lane game. He's actually able to dismember Last pretty effectively.
Yeah. He's kind of outmaneuvering him in a lot of ways, and I think that this last game showed the experience of Flash. It can be very tough to realize when you need to switch out of Wraiths, but good general rule is if you do a few Wraith trades, your Wraith numbers are too low, missile turrets impact them too much, Goliaths impact them too much, and a mech switch can be very powerful. So
sure, yeah.
Like they both did the exact same Wraith build to start, and thus didn't really trade, just both kind of sat back knowing they couldn't invade the opponent's side of the map, and that's a situation where you might see Wraiths all game long, and like 3-3 at the end, like mass vaults and stuff, and turrets everywhere. That could have been that type of game, but Flash with the greater understanding, I think, of how to play this situation.
This means that Last has to come back 3-0 against the greatest gamer of all time, Flash. I mean, I can't think of anything that's harder in the world, man. I mean, this is going to be so difficult. Flash has really showed that he gets a lot more of the nuance in the mid-game TVT, and Last is sort of unable to stop him. Flash runs circles around him.
Well, no matter how hard it gets, you should keep trying, as Flash's shirt suggests. There is that small chance, but definitely you have to favor Flash at this point very significantly.
Now, if anybody can do it, it's Last. The next map is going to be Andromeda. I think this map is a little bit more basic for TVT. It is really much more a test of like, okay, can you handle a map where it favors more traditional TVT approaches. More maps are like Andromeda than they are like Camelot or Outsider. You know what I'm saying? So let's see what he's going to do. At the same time, I mean, Flash is basically the guy that showed us the blueprints for how to play TVT at this stage of the game. So maybe Last wants to mix it up and try to risk a cheese.
It is possible.
Sneak out one win and then try to play from there, throw Flash off, take the wind out of his sails. I don't know. Anyways, guys, this is game number 3. The winner of this series goes to that final spot in the round of 4. Flash staying hydrated here. In the bottom left, in the yellow, winning the last 2 games with his mouth full of liquid Flash. In the bottom right,
pay for a Flash fountain.
in the bottom right, in the red, it's Last.
All right, Andromeda. It's definitely a very different map, Tasteless, so we'll see how these guys go about it. The mineral base is maybe not quite as important, especially with the amount of high ground you have here. The Vultures are not going to end a game, most likely, on this map.
Yeah, both of them sharing the bottom here. That usually means that the red Terran will be expanding towards the upper right, the yellow Terran expanding towards the upper left. But if either player can get the upper hand in the middle and maybe slow that down, curve that a little bit, then you might be able to win in the mid game.
Yeah. Now, by the way, guys, if you are also a StarCraft 2 fan,
and
or maybe you think that StarCraft 1 is really the game, but you know what? Something happened today.
Something changed.
Yeah, and that, I think, pretty much just makes StarCraft 2 amazing.
And what would that be, Artosis?
The Tasteless voice pack.
That's right.
Have you ever wished that Tasteless would say GG when you win a game? Well, first off, you got to win a game, but second off, you got to buy the Tasteless voice pack.
That's right. Our voice packs are out. They're coming out, guys. So get out there, try them out. We put a lot of love into that, so we hope you guys enjoy that. And also, one other quick announcement. I have to leave the country tomorrow. I'll be gone for about 5 or 6 days.
Wow, so good news all around.
That's right. I got to go to one of my friend's weddings back in a wedding, not one of his many weddings. He doesn't have many wives.
Not yet.
Not yet. No, but I have to go to a wedding, so I'll be flying out tomorrow, so I won't be here for just a few casts, but I'll be back, so don't worry.
Yeah. We'll see you at the finals, Tasteless.
See you guys there.
A very good match for you to end the round of 8 on here, I think.
Nobody respects Flash. The Trump 2020, that's pretty good.
Oh, my God. Nobody respects him.
I almost missed the bottom right side of the sign. That was pretty good.
I was like, what is this guy trying to say?
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
these TVT games, nobody's seen anything like them before. Nobody. As you know, Artosis.
He has the best builds. Nobody has builds better than him. He has the best builds.
Yeah. And as you could see over here, the red Terran, he's building a wall.
Flash is not paying for it, though, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's right.
That is a completely last endeavor.
That's a pipe dream last. In this game, we see that once again they both went for the quick gases. Nobody tried to rush for a CC on the low ground or anything crazy like that. And they're both setting their scouting SCVs. They're about synced up on how fast they're scouting. And I think when they cross each other up here at the top, they're immediately going to know that each player is in the opposite bottom corner.
Does look to me, Tasteless, like it's going to be some Wraith builds coming out once again, which is kind of interesting. The double Marine here of Flash will prevent any scouting going on. Of course, the wall of his opponent will as well. But Flash adds a second factory.
Now, this is interesting. It's not a bad build at all. I just did not think Flash was going to be... I thought maybe Last would be doing this, but they've actually reversed roles here. Last is going to go for the starport.
Factory starport here for Last, and then Flash getting an add-on. This is interesting. I'm wondering exactly which strategy he's going to do it like with this. Because he's still mining this much gas, I do think...
Look at that. Flash is hiding a starport up there at the upper right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, if I had to guess, maybe Vulture drops coming in, like drop to the top of the I don't know if we can call it main base, this gigantic area that Terrans are meant to defend, that their main base is inside of. That's where he could drop vultures off and just run down, try to do some damage.
So Flash is going to be doing a lot of aggression right away here. We don't see any indicator of a command center right away, and he's getting 2 add-ons here. First unit to come out here is a vulture. Now, even though this map, you don't start out on the low ground, you do have a pretty wide ramp. Now, that Wallen, in this case, is going to be pretty handy here for last, because you can at least try to sandbag some of the rush.
Yeah, now, this should be Cloak probably coming up for last, and with a build like this with the double add-ons, I doubt he'll have an armory right away. You're going to get that quite a bit later. So we definitely could see a lot of damage done on both sides. Definitely does look like that vulture drop I was talking about before, and since he's getting both mines and speed with it, that means that what he's planning on doing here is he'll get enough vultures in the main base that he just wins the ground battle no matter what. There will be mines there for anything that pops out of the factory.
Right.
What are you going to do, build a vulture to beat 4 vultures or more? No.
So I want to highlight what you were just saying, Artosis, because I know we have some guys that are not actually experienced in Brood War. Vultures don't set off mines. Not your opponent's vultures will not set off mines, but tanks will. Also, workers don't set off mines, but Marines set off mines, tanks, Goliaths, anything like that will set it off. But the problem is that, as you were saying, Artosis, if you have more vultures than they do in their base, you plant a mine by the factory, well, that's going to kill the tank or the Goliath or anything like that.
This is probably just going to snowball. If Last didn't have a wall in, he'd be dead now.
Oh, my God.
Like, this would kill him 100%, but I think it's still going to basically kill him. A Wraith does not kill SCVs with the speed that this does. Look at this.
Man.
He can lay... Oh, my God. If he lays mines under that racks, that means he can just rally more vultures in as well.
I don't believe that covers it. We'll see, though. But he can actually plant mines right over here.
This is so crazy good. Look at this. The SCVs immediately coming out. They know they have to fight. They have to win here against the vultures, but that is a tall order indeed.
Keep in mind, these vultures can actually hit the natural expansion as well from this distance, so this is hugely problematic. And he's going to plant mines up here on the tank.
Oh, man. Down goes the siege tank.
Oh, my God. I think that's it. GG. Flash cleans house 3-0.
Wrecked, shreked, mech'd, whatever you want to say, Paceless.
Topped, bopped, gopped.
I think we had to keep KT at the end of that as homage to his old sponsor. But look, this was such an outplaying by Flash. Now, here, this was a strategic victory, just to be completely clear. It's not like Last is bad for losing to that. Last chose a strategy that's actually very strong in this map. One factory, Cloaked Wraith, expand. It was, back when Andromeda was around, considered probably the best build for the map overall. So I'm not surprised to even see him do that here. But Flash placed his starport in such a place, blocked all early scouting, and went for this build and just absolutely destroyed. This was a strategic victory. You don't get as many of those in TVT or StarCraft 1 in general, but they do exist, and that's what we've seen.
That was just phenomenal, man. Well, congratulations there to Flash. Let's get this interview translated.
Right.
지금 4강 진출에 성공했어요.
So this was the opposite situation from Season 1. 3-0, how do you feel?
받은 거는 돌려줘야 되는
I'm really happy now.
그대로 돌려준 것 같아서.
I'm a person who got, I got my payback. I did it.
오늘 경기력이 진짜 공포 영화 보는 줄 알았습니다. 예, 자 복수 한번 제대로
Today, your performance was, it was like a horror movie.
잘 풀렸는데 어떤 컨셉으로 짰던 다든지 판짝이었나요?
제가 저번 시즌에 저저번 시즌에 현대원 때 완전하게 하다가 계속 털을 찔려서 졌거든요. 이번에는 정말 예전에 다전제했던 현역 때 다전제했던 기억을 살려서 그냥 생각 빌드 쓸 때 생각하지 말자 많은 생각하지 말자 썼는데 그게 다 통해가지고
I really looked back and reflected about how I played.
거의 오늘 무기를 계속해서 꺼내들었는데 강화 자체가 거의 10단계 된 것 같은 그런 느낌으로 1세트에서도 계속해서 공격을 했잖아요.
It seems like you got stronger.
시작을 하면서 근데 그게 계속해서 좀 공격이
you were actually the initiator in this series.
풀려버렸단 말이에요. 어느 순간부터 승리를
It also seems like Last defended well at the beginning, but eventually wasn't able to hold on.
그 미네랄 뒤에 운 좋게 좀 탱크가 잘 떨어져가지고 레이스로 피해를 많이 줘서 거기서 이겼다고 생각을 했고요. 오늘 컨셉 자체가 그냥 내가 무조건 때리자 이런 마인드로 왔기 때문에 그게 잘
dropships got my army in a good position. I just did a lot of damage, and that's when I knew I was going to be able to take it.
들고 다시 한번 2세트에서도 공격을 했는데 레이스를 통해서 뭔가 공격을 하려고 하다가 또 터렛들이 막 지어지게 되면서 그때도 한번 딱 막혔단 말이에요. 그때는 어땠습니까?
연습 때 사실 당해보지 못한 전략이어서 좀 당황하긴 했는데
When your Wraiths
그
went to the
뒤에도
base in
근데
that
셋이
game,
멀티
with the
먹은 걸
turrets, you weren't
당연히
able to do a
알고
lot of damage. Tell us about that.
그거에도 그냥 침착하게 하면 이길 수 있다는 생각으로 했는데
I knew you already had
피해를 빨리 준
expansions
게
at 3
승리 요인인 것
o'clock.
같아요.
예, 그러면서 세 번째 경기에서도 오히려 무기를 하나 더 꺼내면서 거의 세 개의 무기를
So I tried
꺼내거나
some technical attacks
마찬가지였거든요.
at 3 o'clock brace.
원스타
I think that was the key point to win that match.
벌처를 사용해줬는데
네.
상대 그 빌드 좀 배부르게 시작하는 빌드를 노린 식의 그런 전략이었습니까?
네, 이 빌드는 그 재호 형이 사실 저한테 연습 때 쓰면서 추천해준 빌드인데
Did you prepare that counter build ahead of
사실
time?
원래 쓸까 말까 고민을 하다가
to stop his double
한번
expo?
해봤는데 느낌이 너무 좋아서요. 안드로메다에서 통했고요. 지금 정말 오늘
I used
많은
this build
BJ 테란
when I
형들이
practiced only one time, but I just had a good feeling going into game 3 with that build.
예, 날씨도 좋은데 더운데
I'm really grateful to all the other pro gamers who helped me prepare for this.
보여준 것 같았던 이영호 선수의 인터뷰였습니다.
네, 이영호 선수 이제 김민철 선수가 기다리고 있어요. 4강전에서.
네.
김민철 선수 어떻게 자신 있으신가요?
You're going to be facing against Sulky in the semifinals. How do you feel about that? Are you
오히려
confident?
편했어요. 이번 시즌 같은 경우는 쉽지 않아서 맵도 좀 빡세고 그래서
Round of 8 was easier for me.
좀 편했는데
So,
그래도 이번 시즌 저번 시즌보다 훨씬 어렵지만
I think I'm just naturally right now comfortable against Terran, but overall this season, I still think this. Excuse me, I still think overall this season is much tougher than the last season. But I think no matter what situation I'm in, if I just play hard enough and focus hard enough, I can beat anyone.
네, 정말 축하드립니다, 이영호 선수.
And I've got some
4강에서도
payback to give to Sulky.
챔피언다운 모습 보여주시기
And he's referencing
바라겠습니다.
the team battle, by the way.
축하드립니다. 4강 마지막 승자인 이영호 선수까지 만나봤습니다. 그럼 오늘의 경기 결과를 화면으로 확인해 보시죠.
So Flash just dominating the rest of the round of 8, really fantastic. Not that this was not a very awesome victory by Flash, though. Just completely outclassing Last. And that's a rough one for Last to lose on at the end as well. Not really being able to even play his game, getting hard countered as far as strategies go. There's not a lot of situations like that, but on that map, that was like, if his tank was sitting near his SCVs, like in between the factory and the wall, maybe he might barely live through that, but that was about, it's never going to be the case.
Yeah, I have to say, I'm really surprised it was a 3-0, but, when you see how well Flash played today, I feel like I'm a fool for ever thinking that was going to be close at all. Going into the round of 4, it's going to be on Saturday and Sunday. So, Bisu versus Shine, and then Sulky versus Flash.
That's right. That is coming right up, guys. Right, this is it's going to be the finals time before you know it. And the finals is going to be epic no matter who gets there. Wouldn't it be funny if it was like Shine and Sulky finals?
Yeah, I can't wait for Shine and Sulky to duke it out.
I think everyone's looking at this and saying Bisu Flash is almost destined to be. Don't count out Shine and Sulky. This is going to be a tough round of 4 for everybody involved.
Both Shine and Sulky have played some very crafty Zerg styles that really hard counter what the other player's doing. So there's a chance Shine moves on or Sulky moves on. Expect anything. It's actually crazy that Shine's even gotten this far. Imagine if Shine gets to the finals. That is the dream for him.
That would be unbelievably wild. And if Shine versus Sulky was the finals, I would actually give it to Shine, to be honest. That would be, oh man,
and
craziness.
One thing with Sulky too, he was so dominant in StarCraft 2, switched right back into Brood War and did a great job.
By the way, guys, the finals on the 4th. It's going to be at Children's Grand Park. This is a great place if you're visiting Korea. That you can go and check out. There is so much to do at Children's Grand Park. More for children than for adults, but still
it's usually where people bring their families. But I would not miss out if you can to be at an ASL finals, and I would strongly recommend that you get there very early because whether it's our GSL Codes finals or our ASL finals, they had filled up very quickly.
Yes, indeed, and I'm sure that'll be no different, especially if it's something like Bisu versus Flash.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Get a tent, come a day early.
Yeah.
But yeah, great games today. Very impressive seeing how Flash continues to improve.
Yeah.
We had all these guys come back with these new Brood War tournaments, and some people were saying, what kind of games we're going to see from them? Are they still going to be as good as they were before? And clearly the answer is yes. These guys look terrifying, some of the best Brood War we've ever seen. And that's going to do it for us tonight. Join us for the semifinals. I will not be here because I have to go to a wedding, but I will be here for the finals and check out the GSL Codes. We love you guys. Have a good morning, afternoon, or night, wherever you are.
Restless days and long sunsets, and I'm ready can never silence what we say. You can't hold us down another day. The revolution is getting closer. Stand up, take a side. Now you know the truth can't be denied. I promise you we won't give up the fight. We're rising up until it's over.